My name is Fabs. I run social over here at PicMonkey, and today we are going to be, this is our second time doing our Design Playgrounds Live, which is a very informal, kind of like a hangout with our designers, which we do every week internally, and we create a design made in PicMonkey from start to finish. And basically, I wouldn't think of it so much as a tutorial. It's more kind of like a sit back, relax, open up PicMonkey on your screen and follow along and make a really fun creation with our designers. So today we have Natalie. She's been with PicMonkey for a long time and she's an incredible designer. And she's going to be sharing some really exciting teasers, kind of sneak peeks of something that's coming to PicMonkey. It's not quite live yet, but it's going to be live soon. So you can follow along and you won't be able to use the specific feature she's going to be using for some of the parts, but we're so excited to be sharing this sneak peek with you. You're the first to hear about it, first to know about it. So we're so grateful that you guys are here. I'm going to go ahead and make Natalie a host now. So I will go away, but I will be in the comments. So if you guys have any questions, I'll be answering comments in the chat. So I'm going to go ahead and make Natalie a host now.
Thank you, Fabs. Yeah. All right, this is working. Good. And bear with me one second here. All right, we can see the screen. Good, and you can hear me okay as well, Fabs. Great, cool, guys. Well, thanks for joining today. Sorry for the little technical difficulties there. As Fab said, we're really excited to show you guys this new feature that is about to come out, and we are expanding our draw feature to include all of these premium brushes now. I've had a chance to spend a lot of time with them. They're really fun. I'll show you guys kind of the power of what these new ones offer, and then we'll also look at a few examples and maybe some practical uses you guys could work with this tool for what you guys need on your end. So just walking through right now, here's our basic brush offerings, which you guys should be able to use today if you wanted to and follow along. And then these are our new ones. So we have like this really awesome glitter with these different, as you just click through, it changes to what type of glitter. You can play around with the size, spacing, strength. There's a lot of versatility with these as well. The watercolor one is really cool. It gives that nice, as you stack the strokes, it gives a really nice blended look. This one's really cool, dry brush. It's got these great edges as if you were actually like painting or using a dry brush. Highlighter, this one's one of my favorite. Again, as you start brushing on, you can play with the opacity, the strength of it, and it gives that really cool actual like highlighter look as you're building with it. This one's one of my favorite. This is Sketchbook, and this has a really cool, I'll make it a little bit larger, but it has a really cool like edge to it. And we're going to be using this a little bit today. That almost gives it like a pencil or a charcoal look. And then of course, all of these really great shapes that you can now use. So this is a really fun capability too. We have the ability, you see, as I'm going, there's space in between them. So you can create really cool textures with it. You can also drop down the space and it just gives you the shape overall as you're playing with it. So this totally opens up like a whole new world of like really fun ways you can now draw using PicMonkey. It's been really fun for me to play with too. So I want to show you a few things here that I was working on. So if you wanted to show off any sort of product you use, like for social use cases, etc., this is me just playing around outlining your product and then creating a really fun like texture on the background. This look, you probably have seen this in advertising or marketing campaigns. This look, it's almost like someone sat down and sketched on top of a photo or a product photo. And I'll show you, this is kind of the direction we'll go today. I'll show you how to achieve that kind of look. And then lastly, this sort of idea of, again, like someone sat down and sketched, but we can do this all digitally with PicMonkey now in a pretty easy way. So this is kind of what we're gonna go for today. And I will dive in and so over here, I've got a document already open in PicMonkey. It's kind of the dimensions I want. So I've got my layer selected right now. I'm going to jump over to pages. Since it's, again, the right dimensions, I'm just going to add a new page and we'll keep creating within this document. So first step, I'm going to head to add image and going into Hub, I have a photo already selected that I want. I'm going to add to my page and I'm just going to make it a little bit bigger so the crop looks good on my page. All right, it's nice and set up against the edges. Now, one thing that is a really fun trick that I use all the time when I've been using this draw feature is the ability to kind of stack these elements. So it almost is like you, again, hand drew this on, or you maybe even like erased around where your product was. Well, we can do this very simply using background erase. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to set my file up so as we start drawing, it'll be really easy to achieve that look. So I'm going to go back in here to my layers. I'm going to make sure that my photo is selected. I'm going to duplicate it. So you can do that by right clicking. You can duplicate layer. I'm on a Mac, so I can do Command D. Okay, so now we have two copies. The top one is what I'm going to do background erase on. And I'm going to pop over here, move background. That took half a second. And now we have this element that can stay on top. I'm going to zoom in just to make sure my edges are lining up here correctly. Awesome. So now this is all set up where I can draw on my page and stack those elements underneath the cups. So one thing that I want to note when you are using draw and kind of doing this more fine line work, I really like to zoom in. I'm doing all this with a mouse. I achieve this look with a mouse, so you can do it too. The nice thing about sort of this look right now that you see is it's very organic. It's something you can achieve like really easy. So what I'm going to do is start in my top right corner. I'm going to hide this layers panel right now so I can get the full view here. And we're going to start using this sketchbook brush. And I want to pop down to where I can adjust what size, the hardness of it. And I want it just to be a full strength. So it's really bold. I don't want any spacing. And the size of it, let's test it really quick. All right, that looks to be a good size. So I'm gonna undo, we'll keep it at 7. And I'm going to make it white because I think that'll provide a nice contrast here on this blue background. So now I'm just gonna start drawing. Again, I'm using my mouse for this. This is something you guys can do too. We're gonna draw a palm branch. So I'm just gonna go up here to the corner and we'll draw like our middle section. Just want this nice skinny branch. And then I'll start drawing my palm leaves. And this does not have to be perfect. In fact, the style, again, is meant to be very like organic and it's a sketchy look, right? So just imagine doodling. On paper, you're doing the same thing, just using your mouse here. So I'm gonna keep going here with the bottom half. Great. Now I'll start on the top half. And again, it's a lot easier if you are doing like a little more fine line work. You want to zoom in pretty good so that you can just have a little bit more detail. Okay, great. All right, that looks good. I'm going to hit apply. And now this whole drawing is now this element that I can move around. I could go back in and erase if I wanted to. I'm going to zoom out and look at my whole composition here. And it is sticking out a little bit far, so I'm going to tuck it back off the page a little bit more. That looks good. And I need something here to balance it on the left side. So I'm going to duplicate it. So you can right click, duplicate. Like I said earlier, you can, if you're on a Mac, Command D. So now I have, as easy as that, this whole second element without having to redraw it. If you wanted to have a different kind of look for this, you could do a second one to the left, but duplicating it's really easy. I'm gonna pop over here where I can flip it around. You also could flip it this way, just holding down Shift and spinning it around. But I want to just flip it horizontally. Awesome. And now we've got this look here to the left. Easy. So it gives it, looks like you did a whole new drawing, but we just duplicated it. So to save you some time. So this is really fun if you just want to like freehand something and draw in this way. Now, if you're like me and want to have some sort of thing to reference, one thing that I was finding that works really well is you could drop in an image and trace it. You could also go into graphics. And what I'm going to do here is I want another leaf look, that style on my page. And I'm just going to grab one of our graphics. Okay, like this one. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to trace it. If you're not really in the mood for taking the time to trace something, you can also search through our graphics and find some of these more fine line work graphics and just kind of achieve that look in that sense. But I really like the more kind of rough organic nature of this idea of using draw. So I'm going to keep on with my look here. So what I'm going to do is make this a little bit bigger. That looks good. And now I'm going to zoom in. And we're going to do the same thing I was just doing, but it gives us now a base where we can have a little bit more guidance to what we're doing. Again, I'm going to adjust my brush a little bit here to match the first settings I did to keep everything consistent. And we're just going to trace it. The whole idea here is to keep that freehand look, so don't worry about having it be perfect. In fact, it's probably good if it's a little off kilter. And if you are doing a little simpler design. This will take you half the time, a little simpler graphic, if you will. This is a really easy way for you to get kind of this hand-drawn look without having to like scan in a drawing or do anything complicated like that. Just really easy stuff in PicMonkey. All right, almost done. Cool. All right, I'm gonna hit apply. And now let's look at what this is like without our graphic behind it. So I'm just gonna pop over to layers and deleting that. And voila, we've got this same kind of effect that we have here with these top, just totally freeform leaves, but this gave us a little more guidance as we were drawing. And now we can kind of play around with where we want these laid out to. I like this leaf right here on the left side. Now comes into play what we did earlier, where we background erase the cups out of the background. So I'm gonna grab my leaf right here, which is in the top of my layers panel, and I'm gonna grab it and drag it so it sits underneath the cups. And now, without having to erase or do anything special, it just is beautifully stacked behind our cups. Easy. I'm just looking back at what we did on our original one, and we've got a couple more leaves on the right side. So now, like we did with this palm leaf above, I'm just gonna duplicate. I'm gonna flip it around so it makes it kind of appear like it's a different leaf altogether. And in my layers panel, we'll hide it behind the cups that were erased. Just kind of adjusting to see what looks good. And one more time, we'll duplicate it. And I want it to be kind of coming out the bottom of the cup here. And we'll drag this behind our cup image again. Amazing. All right. This is looking really fun. Now, a few more elements are missing. I want to show you guys, you can get this kind of, this is achieved using our watercolor brushes. Kind of gives you like a ripped paper type look and or, like I said, like a watercolor look. So I'm going to grab this brush. We'll use a different one this time. And I want to keep the hardness and the strength of it down a little bit. Don't want any spacing. Kind of looking at my brush size here, get a little bit bigger. And for the color, I'm gonna stick with white. So now as I go to brush on my screen, you guys see the cool, I love the way the edges show up using this brush. It's, again, very organic. It gives you that natural kind of watercolor look. And I'm gonna do another stroke on top of here, and it starts to layer. And like I mentioned, kind of gives you almost like a ripped paper look. So with these brushes, I mean, world's your oyster. There's a lot of effects you can do, styles to mimic maybe your brand specifically, your color palette, whatever look you guys have going. It's a really playful way to add some visual interest to what you guys are doing. So that took me just like a couple brush strokes and we have this really nice look now. I'm gonna hit apply. And we'll add a little bit of text in here as well. And then we'll finish with our glitter brush. So let's see. Grab that font, my juice bar. Made up juice bar. So I'm just moving the text around here. You see the guides start showing up are the red lines. That helps me really quickly know where the center of my page is. And I want to pop over and change the text to be white to match the rest of these sketch elements I have. And I grab the corner of my text box to make it a little bit bigger. And now I'm going to adjust these background elements a little bit. So we don't want them to be blocked by this. So just kind of play around with my elements now. Right. And last thing, too special. So to duplicate this text, again, as we've been doing with other elements, you can right click and duplicate or Command D. And I'm gonna make the size a lot smaller here. Oops. And we can pop in here to text spacing. You could adjust this text to be curved if that fit within your style and look. For here, I just want to adjust our letter spacing. So real quick preview, this just gives you some room between the text. If you had multiple lines of text as well, you could adjust the line height, which would make it grow, and the space in between the lines of text. Have that adjusted to be bigger. But here we're just looking at the letter spacing for now, which this looks pretty good. Just kind of get it in the center here. Perfect. So our text has been added, and now we'll give it a little bit of flair with some glitter. Back to our brushes, and we could go silver. I'm kind of liking the gold myself, and I want this size to be smaller. So just making a few adjustments to the brush itself, and then super easy way to apply glitter to your design. Very simple. Hit apply, and then this gives you the chance if you wanted to adjust it. Let's say you don't like it hitting the edge of the leaf. I can make it smaller. As we did with the other ones, you can flip it around, duplicate it if you wanted to make a pattern from it. There's a lot of endless possibilities here. But that looks pretty good to me. Beautiful. Well, thank you guys for joining. We're really excited about all these new brushes. Can't wait to see what you guys create with it too.
Mute myself here. Can you hear me? Hi.
Hi.
Natalie, that was so good. I loved seeing you use the brushes. I've honestly never used draw in such a way. I love the outlining, like the tracing tip. That was really
good. It's because it can be intimidating, right? Thinking about like, oh, where would I start? What would I do? But if you have something in mind, just search for a shape. Yeah. It's a really simple way to start using it.
When you showed the original design that you were going to work on, I was like, oh, I thought they were like graphics or something. It looked so good. I hope you guys all learned so much. Something I wanted to add in addition to the brushes, with this feature launch, we are also going to add, basically when you erase right now with PicMonkey, you can erase any layer, as I'm sure all of you know. You can now have a different brush to how would you say this? So instead of erasing just with a circle brush, now you have square and all of these shapes, I believe. Yeah. So erasing has just gotten so much better if you want to erase in a straight line, or if you want to erase a triangle or a square or whatever.
The watercolor texture, like I was showing, that's easily one of my favorites now. Or like the dry brush, how it gives that really organic texture. Like now you can erase using that, which can give really cool dimension to what you're working on.
Yes. So not only do we have the new brushes, we've improved our erase tool, which is really, really exciting too, because we've gotten that feature request quite a bit. So I'm really excited about it. I just learned so much and I've been using PicMonkey for so long. So I hope all of you guys did too. Natalie, that was awesome. Thank you
Yay.
so much. We will be, like I mentioned, we will be hosting these videos on our YouTube channel. So if you want to go back and rewatch this, you totally can. And just a reminder, we will be doing this every Friday. So every Friday, come join us. It's going to be the same link. So you don't have to get a new link every time. You could just come back and join us. And we are so grateful that you're here with us. We hope you have an amazing weekend. Natalie, thank you.
Thanks, Fabs. And thanks all for joining. We'll see you at a future Friday. See you soon.
Awesome. Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.